So we're back here with our 2019 Mustang GT. Today we are going to be doing the front brake rotors. So we're going to a two-piece slotted rotor. The factory ones definitely seen better days and not performing optimally anymore. So we'll show you what we're going to run on those. So it is going to be a DBA 5000 T3 slotted rotor, two-piece, and we'll also be fitting Project Mu brake pads. So I'll just come over and run you through those, and then we'll do some comparisons as well, because they are significantly lighter than what we have currently got on the car. So just a bit of an unboxing. So yeah, you can see DBA. They come with some nice gloves and so on. Motul racing brake fluid that we'll be running, and some Project Mu pads. These are the HC Plus pads, which we find have really good success on our street cars that get aggressively driven. So we can have a look here at the factory rotor and the condition that we're looking at currently, which is not great. And it's still on basically factory pads. So yeah, not overall loving life, and for the type of use we're now having, definitely needs an upgrade. So yeah, time to throw these bad boys in the bin, and we'll show you a weight comparison as well, because utilizing the two-piece rotor design with the aluminium hat definitely drops a significant amount of weight. So yeah, I'll show you those back to back on some scales. So if we were just doing a simple pad swap on these are really easy. So you can simply punch out the two pins at the top and the bottom. Then you'll need to undo this post. So just the bolt at the back, and then that post will come out. The retaining plate will pop out as well. You'll then spread the actual pads out, so you've got enough space to fit the new ones in, and then you just reverse that and pop them in. As we're doing a rotor replacement, we will actually have to remove the entire 6-piston caliper, which is just simply 2 bolts on the back, so it's very straightforward as well. So we'll run through that now. So we've now got the front rotor off the car and a set of scales out, so we'll just do a weight comparison with this. Just bang the scales on, sit the factory rotor on there. So we've got 15.2 kilos just with the factory rotor. They are worn, keep in mind, so they will be a little bit heavier than that standard. Bring the scale back on again and sit the DBA two-piece on. It's noticeably lighter straight away. So we've got there 12.9 kilos. So a significant weight saving just in those rotors. have the new two-piece rotor with the Project Mu pads in. We did have to slightly modify the pads just where the cross bolt goes through. You'll just be able to see just in here. We just had to, just on the die grinder, just clearance a little bit there. It's absolutely not a critical area. This bridge bolt simply just is there for stiffening of the actual caliper, nothing to do with the pad, so that's absolutely fine to clearance. But yeah, we've got the pins back across, the cross bolt in, the caliper all mounted, so we'll do the exact same thing to the other side. Then we'll give it a bleed and just hit it with some brake clean to clean it all up. So I just wanted to show you the slight modification we had to make on the pad. So you can just see across the top here where the bridge bolt runs, there is a slight difference. We line the pads up on top of each other and you can see there. So we simply come through with a texter and we mark where we need to change. So we do that with a combination of the linisher and a die grinder, and then just do that. So yeah, just for both pads, very simple. Sit those on, line them up accurately, and mark away. So yeah, very simple modification, and that allows us to run the pad that we like to use, the Project Mu HC Plus. Okay, so we've got the rotors and pads all fitted up now. It comes time to bleeding the brakes. So we need to top up the master cylinder again, the reservoir. Today we are using Motul 700. So this is a racing spec brake fluid, and in this application it's perfect for what we're trying to do. So yeah, you need to fill up the reservoir again at the start, and then we'll get to bleeding the brakes. Alright, so we've got the brake sucker hooked up again to the outer bleeder nipple. So we actually always want to start with the furthest away from the master cylinder. The rears are already running the same brake fluid, so we don't need to do a full flush on this side of things. But yeah, so we start on the outer nipple, and we just one thing to note with this is you do not want to run the top master cylinder dry. If you do that, you'll have to re-bleed the entire system, as you'll have air in your brakes and it will not be a nice pedal. So I'll just run through all of the nipples now. So we'll finish off with the inner nipple on this side, and then we'll jump over to the other side, and then we'll give it a clean off and get the wheels back on. Here we have it, all fully installed with the nice DBA 5000 two-piece rotors. We will generally go with a slotted design rather than drilled. Not a huge fan of drilled rotors, as they can definitely be more susceptible to cracking. We've got the Project Mu pads in there and the Motul racing brake fluid. So all going together now really nicely. One thing to note, whenever you are utilizing brake fluid, make sure you give it a solid clean with brake cleaner, and then always throw the rag in the bin. Brake fluid will damage paint, so yeah, you definitely don't want to pick that same rag up that you've just been using to use clean up brake fluid and then start wiping your paint. So yeah, definitely throw those rags straight in the bin after you finish cleaning up. So the next part of this that we will just demonstrate is also the benefit of some reasonable wheels. So these are not a super high quality wheel, what we'll probably consider middle of the road, just a Vertini, and we've got the factory rim there, so that's a 20-inch. These are both the fronts. So we've gone to a 265/20, and that is a 255 on the factory rim. So we'll just show you the difference in weight and then work it out, combine that with the lightweight rotors and go from there. We'll start with the factory rim. 29.1 kilos for the stock wheel. And then for the new wheels, the 20s, we've got 23.3, so we're basically 6 kilos different between the two wheels, which is very good for a middle of the road type of wheel. These are just a rotary forged wheel, they're not a genuine forging. So here we have the finished product, wheels all back on. It's also always a fantastic opportunity to actually give the wheels a good clean while they're off the car, so you can clean all the inside and so on, actually make them nice again. And you can see, so besides all the other advantages in terms of performance, weight and so on, they just look fantastic. It's always such a nice upgrade to go to the two-piece rotor and the nice slotted design. It just, yeah, really pops. And personally, I really like the Project Mu teal. Matches our DSR logo beautifully. So overall, we've saved just under 10 kilos of unsprung weight between the wheels and the rotors, and that is per side on the front, which is massive. The shock absorber has to do way less work. The brakes actually have to do way less work. The acceleration is phenomenal. So the response through the steering, the actual overall acceleration is improved, and just overall handling. So yeah, there's no downsides to doing this sort of upgrade, and definitely something to consider when you're selecting wheels, brakes and so on. Always the weight. So yeah, definitely don't just go off looks. Give weight a strong consideration. And as always, make sure you top up the brake fluid that you have sucked out. So we need to make sure that's still full, which it is, and that's ready to put the cap back on. So we will now bed these brakes in, which is always recommended fairly spirited driving. So our method to bed these in is we will normally do 2 or 3 just gentle stops from, call it 60 to 80 k's per hour down to almost stopped and just moderate pressure. And then we will build up from there and give them quite a few, several aggressive stops. Whenever you're using a pad like this, they do need quite a bit of heat to actually bed in and get the compounds all working. So we'll, yeah, give those quite a few significant stops from around the 100 k's an hour. You basically stop and then just keep driving again. And then we will go for about a 5 to 10 minute drive without using the brakes aggressively at all, just to give them a really good chance to cool down, highway use, something like that. And then you want to try and avoid sitting with the brakes applied while they're in that cool down phase. And then once you've done that, they should be good to go. All finished. So bed in, road tested, performance is outstanding, absolutely ecstatic. The pedal feel, overall bite, consistency. So yeah, couldn't recommend this upgrade enough. So the DBA 5000 T3 rotors, Project Mu pads, they are the HC Plus, and then the racing brake fluid. So yeah, really impressive. And an overall great project for someone to take on.